Welcome to the Conquer Risk podcast. I'm Christopher Norton. I have used a number of transcription services, and frankly, they're all terrible. They never work like they're supposed to, they're riddled with errors, and they end up costing me more time than they save. My guest today claims to not only have the solution to this, but several others for advisors. Corey Westphal, welcome to the Conquer Risk podcast.
Christopher, thank you. And great to be here. Excited to talk to you.
I'm excited that we get to do this today. We've known each other for a few years now, so I'm excited to not only get to catch up, you and I, but to hear about how Mobile Assistant has evolved over the last couple of years.
Well, what's fun, Christopher, is like you really worked with us at the very beginning. I remember coming to the firm that you were at the time with FICOM and really needing some help and helping to get our brand really off the ground, if you will, and try to help us with some design ideas. And it was a pleasure working with you. I always had a lot of fun. You had a great eye for the design and the creativity that I was looking for. It was great.
Well, I appreciate that very much. It's always a pleasure to get to work with a fun brand that's doing something interesting and unique, and you checked every one of those boxes. So I dropped the name at the top and people can see it behind you. Tell us what is Mobile Assistant and why is it unique?
Well, so Mobile Assistant, we are a dictation service for the financial advisor community. And so really our mission and our core values really position ourselves to provide an easy way for advisors to capture and document all those important client interactions that they have on a daily basis. And so, what I think we do differently as a company, is that we really do focus on the advisor's workflow. We look at the unique situation every advisor has and how they go about their business on a daily basis, and how we can fit in to that process to try to make their life easier. There's some things that make us very unique in that we're not just a dictation service. We're not a voice to text technology. Everyone's heard of Dragon, you've heard of Siri, and probably used those type of technologies before. And so what you pointed out at the beginning of this is very true. If you try to dictate a client meeting recap using Siri or using Dragon, you're going to spend so much more time cleaning it up than you will actually speak in your notes. And so one of the things that people might not know about us is that with all the really cool technology that we have in place that we've really invested in over the years, it's the people behind the scenes that make all the difference. We have over 100 professional transcriptionists that are employed by our company that are all here in the States. And we hear it from advisors all the time that these transcriptionists are good. I mean, they do an amazing job. When advisors speak their notes, they know what to expect because they're going to get notes back that are incredibly accurate.
Well, I think that's a major point because we've all had the frustration of the overseas tech support phone call, and that's the last experience you want to bring to transcription. So I think that's a very strong point to make that they're all based here.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been in the transcription industry for over 20 years now. That's kind of crazy to say that out loud, but there's been there was so much pressure over the years as a company to outsource our work overseas or to automate away the human component of what we do. And it's just become so obvious over the years that advisors are looking for an accurate solution, not just an easy, quick dictate and then forget about it. They really are looking for a solution that can help guide them through the process, which we'll talk about at some point today with our new templates that we have in place. But then to just rely and be able to trust that the notes that come back are accurate, because if they're not, they're worthless. And so that's really what is the main reason why we've stuck to those core principles of having the human touch, if you will, to the technology that we have in place. That's what really sets us apart, makes us so valuable to the advisor community, so that it's not just a software, that it's really the humans behind the scenes that are making all the difference.
Well, I think for us at Potomac, the human touch plus technology is something we believe strongly in, so we can most definitely relate. It's an interesting time to be having this conversation with everything going on in the world, from how we meet with people evolving to changes in the regulatory environment. Talk to me a little bit about how Mobile Assistant is helping advisors get ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a great point, and what a crazy time that we live in, right? And that we've been through this year. It's been quite the 2020. One of the things that I think has been one of the kind of unreported impacts that COVID and this pandemic has had for all people, but advisors specifically, is the lack of and the loss of the routine. Right? Is having that structure in your life where you meet with your clients, you have a good conversation, you have a follow-up routine. All of that got kind of thrown up in the air, and it had to get changed, right? Advisors have had to really try to be a little bit more creative about how they're communicating with their clients, how they're communicating with their teams. And so I think that is what Mobile Assistant, what I think we're doing a really good job of, is really creating and providing a stability to the process when it comes to documentation of client meetings. No matter where you are, no matter what the environment is, you're going to be able to use our service in a mobile way to be able to capture your notes. And so I think that's really one of the things that I'm really proud of as a company, that through all the tough times this year, we've maintained less than 2-hour turnaround time. It's pretty
That's
amazing.
incredible. Yeah.
When an advisor dictates their notes, they have them back within hours. And we were lucky in that we were already positioned really well as a company, because we are a work from home environment type of workforce, right? Our transcriptionists work at home, our managers, and so that really set us up so that we could be successful no matter what the environment. So when the lockdowns came through and there was a lot of restrictions put out there, our company could really strive and really shine for the advisors. And I think it made a big impact for our community and our clients, because they knew they could still rely on us. And so that was a big deal. With all the new regulations that are always being thrown at advisors, one of the things that we wanted to do as a company was to create a way of helping to structure and provide a way of organizing the way that advisors dictate. Now, what do I mean by that? Dictation 20 years ago really was the same as what it has been in current day, which is you get out of a client meeting, you either call a dictation hotline, or you open up a dictation app, you hit record, and you speak your notes. That's the way the process has always worked. And the problem with that, and what we heard from our clients and from the advisor community out there, was that doesn't work all that well for everybody. It's not intuitive. There's no structure to it. So just relying on you, so Christopher, I tell you, listen, for 5 minutes, I want you to give a succinct, structured recount of the client meeting you just had, right, with Corey Westphal. It's not something that comes real naturally to people. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to rethink and evolve the way that advisors were going to use our service. And now the way that we did that is we looked at how we were going about capturing the information from our clients. So instead of just hitting record and trying to remember everything, we built into the Talk It mobile app that we have an assistant, which is a template guide. So now we have the ability as a company to push out templates to our clients that are default templates. And the advisors also have the ability to create their own. So for every unique situation, every unique workflow out there for advisors, they have the ability to create templates that really fit in well for what they need to capture after those meetings. Now, they can have a tax review template, they can have a 401k, they can have a client review. But one of the things that I think has been really valuable that have been able to provide is that we can also be really be proactive in the templates that we provide the advisors. Now, a great example of that is Reg BI. So Reg BI was put down by the SEC and FINRA in June. Well, right before that, we created, by working with different broker-dealers throughout the country and different compliance officers, a template that's a Reg BI template that when you log into Mobile Assistant for the first time, you'll see a Reg BI template there. So if that's important to you as an advisor, that you want to make sure you're going to check the boxes to fulfill those kind of requirements, now we've created a template to help guide you. The question comes up when you click on the template. The question comes up. You say the question, you answer it, and the transcriptionist has that template form that they deliver it back to the client then. So all of a sudden now we've provided a way of structuring and organizing the dictation and not just having it be a giant paragraph of information.
Nice. That's fantastic. I want to ask selfishly what this is for and what this is not for, because I have a feeling that I can't somehow find a way to take my podcast episode and load it into the mobile app and be like, transcribe it for me. So maybe just quickly draw the line between what we should be thinking of and what not.
Well, so one of the things that we have really tried hard over the years to do as a company is to really focus on what we do really, really well. Our transcriptionists do an amazing job. You can only do so much with audio, though, that has multiple people speaking. If it's a podcast, if it's a meeting, a conference where you have a recording that was in the middle of the table with a bunch of people talking, those dictations are really difficult because as soon as two people talk, the audio is lost, and so the quality of the notes just isn't going to be that high, right? So what we've done is really try to focus on the post-client meeting recap. That's what we're used for. We're used to memorialize and document all the information that you want to make sure you're going to have in that client record after every meeting you have. That's the first thing we're used for. The second thing that we're used for is the communication with teams. So what do I mean by that? Advisors are not on an island out there. They have a team surrounding them that helps them to really communicate well with their clients, to have follow-up activities that have to be acted upon. So because of that, that whole team concept, that's the way that Mobile Assistant's really helping advisors is, so you do a dictation after a client meeting, you get that information documented and memorialized. The next dictation you do, it's not about your client anymore. Now it's about how you're communicating next steps and action items with your teams. Those are really the two main ways that advisors are leveraging our technology.
Everyone is worried about data security right now, rightfully so. How do you store this and use my data, and what does that look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. And obviously we get it all the time, right? We're being trusted for the client meeting information that is very sensitive. One of the things that I'll say is that it's a currently like a constantly evolving process, right? How we secure the data for our clients it changes constantly. You don't just write a business continuity plan, put it into place, file it away, and don't look at it for years. So some of the things that we've done to be really, really proactive and be on top of the security posture we have as a company is we created a security council that meets monthly. And so part of that, the job of the security council is to make sure that all of the information that we have surrounding our security is up to date. We made some huge investments in our technology in the last couple of years to move our entire system from an on-prem data center into the cloud. That was a huge deal for us because it gave us more structure. It gave us the accessibility to a lot more security through Amazon and AWS. It provided us more scalability that we could really lock down features that we couldn't do before. And so I would say it's an evolution that's we're just constantly evolving when it comes to the security and how we protect our data. The multi-factor authentication that we put into place years ago is really important. And so advisors they have to know that they can trust us with that client data that they're communicating. And so we've got a lot of things in place to make sure that happens.
Detailed answers to the question, how do you handle our security, is always appreciated over, oh, well, we've got things, it's fine.
Yeah.
What else should advisors be thinking about when it comes to this kind of technology?
One of the shifts that we really are seeing when we're speaking to advisors is the idea that technology it's not just in place to help you individually. It's what can it do for your team? What is, like, you've heard of, and we did a lot of different, I did a lot of different podcasts and a lot of different webinars in the last 6 months that had to do with what technology are you equipping your team with to make sure they can be successful. I think that's something that a lot of advisors really need to think about, is not just the technology that can help you, but is this technology that you're putting into place helping you communicate those kind of next steps with your team to make them successful? Because for a lot of parts of the country that are still not, working in an office, that's a big shift for a lot of advisors. Is now all of a sudden my team is not there in the office with me. Well, what different types of technology do I need in place to make sure that they are going to be successful? And so that's something I think advisors really need to think about. Also thinking about the technology and how it relates to communicating their message to their clients and their prospects. I think there's so much great technology out there right now that really helps do just that, which is not just make life easier for you, but how does it communicate your message that is so important that you're trying to get out to your clients, and how does the technology help that? Whether that's the CRMs that keep incredibly good storage of your data so that it's organized and when those action items are coming up, to using a service like ours that makes getting that information into the CRM easy. Those are all things that I think advisors would be really smart to continue to think about.
Well, Corey, I genuinely appreciate you taking the time to join us today and not just share about Mobile Assistant, but really shine a light on this need that we know every advisor has. We always close with recommendations. So what recommendation do you have for our listeners today?
Yeah, well, when you asked that question when we were prepping for this today, it made me think about all the different things that have changed in the last 6 months to a year. And like one of the things that kind of stood out to me is, as you can tell, I'm standing up, right? So I had friends of mine that had encouraged me over the years, you got to look at a stand-up desk. Like it made a big impact for them. That's something that I would recommend advisors look at. If you are spending a lot of time at a computer throughout the day, these stand-up desks are amazing. I mean, they're not that expensive. You can lower them, you can make them higher. It's made a big impact for me. The first week is a little tough to get used to, but now this is the way I operate. This is the way I work all day. I'm on my feet. And I just think, because the pandemic has affected how much we can get out and we can move. I think having that extra, get you out of your seat, a little bit of equipment in place, I think it's a great thing. So that would be my one recommendation for people to look at if they haven't already done it.
I have been wanting one for some time. It's going to be hard to give up the red desk, but I think it may be time to finally make the move.
I recommend it.
Well, for my recommendation, I want to close the loop on an open conversation that started on social media. A couple of weeks ago, I ran a poll on Twitter about the pronunciation of a word. Let me be clear. This is a Reese's peanut butter cup. Any other potential answer is wrong. If you say Reese or Reese's, Lord knows how you have made it through this life so far, but there's still time. You can change, and the world will be a better place. So, thank you again, Corey, for joining us. Thank you, everyone who has listened to the podcast, and we'll see you back next week.
Thanks, Christopher. Thanks, everybody.